Hello everybody, welcome to your weekend edition. My name is Merlin Rothfeld. Hope you had a great trading week. For those of you who are in the crude oil space, probably a wild ride for you to be sure. We've had these big green days, big red days, big green days. We'll review some of that and what the future might hold for crude oil here going forward. That said, big shout out to everybody. Alex stuck in the airport traveling today, huh? Tell you what, Alex, next time you're out in Orange County, when you guys play the Angels, let me know. Maybe we can connect when you're out here. Les from Cape Canaveral, Jorge, Daryl. He's got the, what do you got, the Kettle One and Ginger today? Nice. Jeff, Simon, Big Eb. What do you got, Big Eb? Extra dried gin. You know what? I never was a fan of gin. I feel like they just vary too much. But the Hendrix that you're drinking, good stuff. Love that. Hello, Tom and Rajesh. Good to see you as well. I am drinking, what do we have today? It's Rubicon whiskey from my good friend Carrie up north from the Dry Diggins Distillery. Got to support them small distillers. So cheers, everybody. Hope you had a great trading week. That said, that's a good rye. That said, I thought you might enjoy the graphic I put together to start the show. I have this trading week wrap up here, which is that the Evergreen boat, which is really something spectacular. I'm going to start here. We'll talk about the issue that's going on in the Suez Canal. I'm sure many of you have seen or been following the situation as it goes on. There obviously is a major logjam going on in the Suez Canal, and it's one thing for us as Americans versus maybe an Egyptian to think of the impact of it, right? You look at what's going on in the Suez Canal and you're like, who cares? It's the other side of the world. It doesn't impact us. It absolutely is going to impact us, and it's the sheer magnitude of how much traffic goes through the Suez Canal. So let me bring up a map here. I'm going to bring up a map of the world, and we'll see what I can... I should have had this all prepped, but I didn't. Just decided not to do it. Let's see. Map of the world. And one interesting thing here is when you look at the map of the world, the Suez Canal is right through a pretty volatile... unstable geographical region of the world. So let me bring this up for you guys so you can see it. Hopefully get rid of some of this stuff. All right. Here you go. Here is a map of the world. We're going to go from my lovely home here in Southern California, zoom way out, and I want to start off by looking at the Suez Canal because you're thinking, who cares, right? It doesn't impact me. Well, look, a lot of goods and services coming from Asia are going to be using the Suez Canal as a manner to bring us goods and services. So a lot of this is going to be bottlenecked, and I'll explain more here in a second. But if you look right here, this is the Gulf of Aden, and then you go to the Red Sea, and up near the top, near the fertile delta of the Egyptian and of the Nile by Cairo, right here is the Suez Canal. Now, it may not look like much, but this is man-made, and the reason is for many goods and services, including petroleum products, this is a huge shortcut because you can cut right through here, or you can go all the way around the Horn of Africa and then go past the southern tip of Africa. That just creates way more time and effort. And by the way, for those that don't know, the Horn of Africa is this part right here. And if you've been watching any Pirates of the Caribbean movies, this is where all the pirates in current day are. You're not seeing, the Black Pearl float around out there, but Somalia is notorious for having piratism. And right here is where all those boats need to go around if the Suez Canal is closed. Trust me, they do not want to be going across this eastern portion of Somalia and dealing with pirates. So there is obviously a massive traffic jam right here and a roadblock because a 1,300-foot boat, and I'm going to show you this here in just a second, a 1,300-foot boat is lodged in there. I'm sure you've seen the pictures. There is actually a really cool thing that you can do that I've been following on a daily basis here, which is I'm tracking that boat in real time just because I have nothing better to do. Now, here you have it. This is the Suez Canal. This is as we speak right now. And you can see all these boats out here waiting. I mean, they're talking hundreds of boats. And these aren't like some little Newport Beach sailboat, guys. This is hundreds of boats lined up that are the size of football fields over and over again. All these little dots are boats. So we'll move forward here just a little bit. And this is where that Ever Given is the name of the boat. And there it is. I've been following this for the last 3 days. I'm so entertained by the fact you have a 1,300-foot boat stuck in a 1,000-foot canal. It's wedged in there. And it's creating global havoc. As a guess for our audience out there, what do you guys think is the sheer amount of the estimate of capital lost per day by that boat blocking the Suez Canal? Any guesses? Take your guesses. Per day estimate of how much globally it is costing the world every day that canal is blocked. So type your guesses in there. I'm kind of curious what you guys think. It was definitely a lot more than I thought. It is a significant amount. To put it in perspective, the estimates are that 5.2 million barrels per day of oil go through the Suez Canal. Now, is that going to impact us directly? Yes, actually. Most of that oil is going to be destined for Europe, right? So certainly Europeans are going to see their fuel prices start to rise here significantly because all of a sudden you've got millions of barrels of oil. Keep in mind that I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're 3 days into this. It's one of the longest closures that we've seen since 1975 of the Suez Canal. So very interesting. Yep, Pepe nailed it. It's $100 billion a day. I'm correct that. You're wrong. It's $10 billion per day is the number that I looked up. Who knows? It's just an estimate. But bottom line is that's some serious money adding up. So at this point, 3 days into it, you're at $30 billion. My guess is they'll probably have another couple of days before they finally get this thing out and dislodged. But the problem here is they're already saying things are going to be running about 9 days late, even if it opened today. They'll say there's about another 2 weeks to get all the boats back up to normal once the blockage is cleared. So, this could be something that creates major issues for supply. What do I mean by that? Well, as Americans, I know we've got a lot of international crowd here, but for us, Tom says 3 Bitcoin. That's good. I like that. For us as Americans, most people, or many people, got their stimulus checks, and they're going to go buy stuff. A lot of those items are not going to be on the shelves or going to be in hard supply. So you could actually start to see a pinch on different items you're looking for. And it's not just, PlayStations. It could be automotive parts, could be furniture. You may see prices of things rise simply because the supply side is all of a sudden on hold. And you also have demand is increasing because of the stimulus check. So an interesting thing happening here. You'll probably start to see the real impacts next week, depending on how long it takes for them to unlodge that boat. It's called the Ever Given. I call it the Ever Taketh. So it's really like a giant global terrorist attack that all it was somebody running aground, right? And of course, people are blaming the driver. From what I hear, it was an extremely windy day, just threw it off course, and there you go, have it wedged in. The other graphic I was going to use for you showed a backhoe digging it out. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of backhoes. Backhoes are gigantic. I mean, the big ones, the big commercial excavators, you stand next to them and you crane your neck to look up at them. That thing compared to sitting next to that boat looks like an ant on a football. It's unbelievable how big that boat is. Anyway, Big Eb says, my XLE is killing it. Yeah, I actually sold puts on XLE, so I'm pretty happy about that too. I won't get exercised on those ones. Pretty sure about that. Yeah, not trillions yet, Tom. It's definitely going to be a lot. Most of the boats that are going through are container ships and cargo ships. So it's the big shipping containers full of stuff. Oil was like the fourth on the list as far as the amount of oil, but still 5.2 million barrels per day of oil. That's going to start to create some issues at the pump. For Europeans, for Americans, probably not so much. We don't have to worry. It's the supply side of goods and services, right? Am I going to get my container of SanDisk, separate storage devices here? Who knows? Things could start to move up. But that will be something that's going to really start to grow in impact over the next couple weeks. Someone's video card is on that boat. A lot of stuff's on that boat, man. Thank goodness it's not perishable goods, because it could be much more significant. But I think that it's comical and interesting, because when you look at events like this, I love to kind of do what is it called? It's a Rube Goldberg game, right? Where one piece impacts the next and impacts the next. This to me is exactly what that is. It's basically an economic Rube Goldberg machine, where you all of a sudden have this one piece stick and it starts to set in motion all of these other gigantic macroeconomic pieces to the tunes of millions of dollars per day. Somebody, I'm telling you what, is probably going to lose their job in Egypt or in the Middle East because of this whole situation. Although they do things a little more harshly, or they might just be shot. All right. Yeah, you shouldn't have sold at ExxonMobil. I'm a Mr. Algebra. On a different note, that's a bad answer. Oh, thank you. You know what? Thanks, Simon. I walked to the closet today and I thought, I'm having a good day. The markets have been great to me, and I was like, I never wear this shirt. I got this one custom tailored in Thailand years ago, and I never wear it because it's like a rave shirt, right? And my rave days are probably pretty much over, but it looks like a total party shirt. It's made out of like suit liner. So anyway, I thought I would wear that today because you gotta love the snaps, right? All my shirts have snaps. Okay. Alex says, just think about all of the logistics for all those crews on those ships. Yep, they might have to start flying in supplies to some of the ships. Certainly. And, you know, there's three, like, main points of the Suez Canal. You've got the northern part, the southern, and then there's a part in the middle called the Bitter Lake. Right now, I'm pretty sure most people are damn bitter about that middle piece. Anyway, if you guys want to, as I do, enjoy following around this picture here, I think I can just do this. It hasn't moved, but it's kind of entertaining to watch all the little boats. I just put it in the chat. That is a link to the page that has the evergreen or ever given vessel and all the tracking information. So you guys might enjoy that as much as I do. It's funny because you can see them trying to pull it. Like I just, how hard would it be to pull this from the back end and pull the front end? I don't know. It seems like this should be easily solved. Anyway, okay. Trivia question for you guys. You know, we talk about the Suez Canal a lot, and since this was a topic du jour, when do you think this, or when was the Suez Canal created? You know, obviously right now the Suez Canal is an incredibly important part for international trade. It is, without it, things would be very, very different. But how long has it been around? When do you guys think the Suez Canal started? I'm just curious what you guys think. Hey, Baldhead Bees, if it stays there longer than a week, it will be called the Ever Stuck. Back in, I believe it was 2004, there was a vessel that was stuck in there for 3 days. That was one of the longest closures of it for since the 70s. There was also another one that closed it for 3 hours. Same thing, was a Japanese boat that drifted because of bad weather and got stuck sideways, but they got that one out pretty quick. This one's pretty lodged in there, apparently. All right. Algebra says hundreds of years ago? No. Tom says the 60s. Nope. 1869, I believe, is when it was. All right, that's when they initially did it. It's obviously gained a lot more popularity, but look at Suez Canal. It's been around a lot longer than that. All right. Well, now we'll start the debates on the show on when it was actually done. Okay, let's move on from that. Let's see. Yeah, 1869 is when it officially opened. Kind of crazy to think that it opened in 1869. All right, let me go to, yeah, right? Bet you guys didn't know that one. It's old. It's been there a long-ass time. And it's pretty incredible. It was man-made at that point. Anyway, let's move on. So I've had a bunch of questions about specific things regarding platforms like TradeStation and stuff. So let me do this one here for everybody. This is from Melvin, and actually was a comment that came up yesterday during the show, which was, how do you draw those comparison charts? And this is something that Brandon Wendell and I probably learned about the same time, is looking for the market leader. There was one guy that traded on the trading floor who, basically this is all he would do, is he would look at an index. And again, I'm just saying this as a reference. I'm not saying you guys should go and do this. There are certainly a lot of risks involved with this. But what he would do is, he would simply go out and see which index was up the most. So pick the NASDAQ, S&P, Russell, Dow, whichever one was up the most. And he had 4 separate watch lists. He had a watch list for the S&P, watch list for the NASDAQ, watch list for the Russell, and a watch list for the Dow. And in each of those watch lists, he obviously filtered out things that were of disinterest to him, meaning things that didn't have a lot of volume, which is one of the reasons I now use a volume filter. So let's say his minimum cutoff was 2 million shares, and yeah, we'll call it that, just 2 million share cutoff. So what he would do is he'd say, which of those 4 indexes is leading to the upside? And if it was the NASDAQ, he'd go to the NASDAQ watch list and sort it by biggest gainer. And if that market was, if the market was still moving up, he would sort by the biggest gainer and click on the first one on the list. Whatever, let's say it was Microsoft. If that one was still trending up and looked strong, he'd hit a button and buy 1,000 shares. He'd go to the next symbol, Intel. Intel looked like it was going sideways, he'd skip it. Hits the next button. Oh, KLA 10 core, CliK. Great, it's still trending up. Buy 1,000 shares. And you'd run through like the first 20 or 30 items on that list, because if that market's moving, he wants to buy the ones that are moving with it. And I thought it was a crazy style, but the guy put up some pretty impressive numbers. And what he would do is, after he ran through that list and bought thousands of shares, he would go to his positions and simply look at that list again. And if anything started to turn and go south on him, he'd just sell it and keep those strong ones. It's about market leaders. And for Brandon and I, we were looking at index leaders. With this guy, he was looking at individual company leaders. Buy the strong ones in the strongest market. It just makes sense. How would stop loss rules work? Great question, Alan. All he did was, in his position window, it was fascinating, guys. He sat right behind me, and I would just turn around and, I don't know if he cared or not, but I was just like, watch over his shoulder, and all he would do was look at his watch or his positions list, open positions, and he'd sort by P&L. And if any one of those started to lose, and I mean literally like a penny, if it was down, dump it. Crazy, right? You're like, where's the rule? Where's the ATR? You know, where's your proximal distal lines? Where's your zone? No. This guy was literally a market surfer, and if the market was trending strong, he would just buy everything that was strong, and if anything showed weakness, dump it. It's a pretty crazy style. I thought it was fascinating, but it revolves around this concept of market leader. So I'm going to show you in TradeStation how to do this, because I showed you yesterday on stockcharts.com. So for those of you who do not have TradeStation, I will show you again on stockcharts.com just to make sure. But here's how you would do it in TradeStation. It's really simple. So I'm going to do it from scratch. I'll create a chart here. So I go to chart analysis. I'll make this full screen for the viewers out at home. All right, and I'll go a daily chart. So here we have the daily chart of crude oil in black. Your first step, if you want to do a comparison chart, is just you right mouse click and you go down to where it says price percentage chart and you simply click enable and just say yes to everything. So there we go. Now I have one item in here. I have crude oil, right? Let's say I want to, I probably shouldn't have done crude oil. Let me just change this to SPY. Okay, so here's the SPY. You guys tell me what you want to add in here, right? I could add in anything, but let's just say I wanted to do the 4 major indexes. So I got SPY on there. You right mouse click and you just put insert symbol. Okay, once you have it on a position, a price percentage chart, you can type in any symbol you want. So I'll put in QQQ, plot that one. So now I've got SPY and I have the QQQ. Let's add in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which would be diamonds. All right, so insert symbol again, and I'll go DIA. Okay, so now I've got the diamonds on there. And lastly, we'll add in the Russell 2000, which is IWM. So again, right mouse click, insert symbol, and I'll go IWM. So here I have all 4 of them, right? And the question is, well, where's my axis? Where's my starting point? So one thing that's kind of cool about this is, well, first off, let me change something here. I like to, when I'm doing charts like this, you might like it as is. I'll leave it as a black chart, but if you double click on any line in TradeStation, it'll bring up the specifics for that chart. So you can go here and type in style. And for example, I like the lines to be thicker. So I'll just do it with this one to get an idea. But you notice that I've now made that line much thicker for the NASDAQ. And I'll go in here, and since it's a dark chart, it's okay with that one. We'll make that one thicker. But anyway, it just helps me visually. I like having a much more in my face type of lines. And you can change the colors to whatever you want as well, but I'm just making the lines thicker just to make it easier for me. All right, the other thing I like is, you guys see up here at the top, you've got all this data that I just don't give a crap about. Volume and high, low, open, close, who cares? So I go to the format window and I just go to status line and remove everything. I don't need any of that crap. I know all the numbers, and then I will bump it up so you guys can see. We'll bump it up to a 20 font. And now I have a pretty simple, easy to read chart of those 4 indexes. So what you can do here is, let's say you wanted to look at it from right here, January 1st of 2020. Right where you just click your cursor there, put your cursor where you want to start as your axis point, and then right mouse click. And when you go to price percentage chart, you can see it says calculate from first bar, last bar, or this bar. I'm clicking this bar, and now what you're seeing is the performance of those 4 markets based from January 1st of 2020. Clearly right now, your big leader is the NASDAQ, up 47%. But you can see, relative strength-wise, there's a lot of interesting tells right now. Now, obviously, the first glance here for everybody is, can I make that chart trading, can you make chart trading smaller? I'm not sure what you mean by can you make chart trading smaller. Let me get rid of the watermark. I don't like the watermark that's on there anyway. Format window, I will delete that watermark. I don't like grid lines. It's funny because we all have different ways of looking at things. I hate grid lines. Grid lines are terrible. Anyway, I like a nice clean, ooh, look at that, so pretty. Let me know what you want, Pepe, when you mean, can you make chart trading smaller? So at this point, you can now change it to any time frame you want. So I've got it on a daily right now from January 2020. But let's say you wanted to see a 4-hour from the first of the year. You know, that's could be a lot of data. So let me go to a 240 minute. Just type in 240 min. All right, so here's my Oh, this is probably going to take a long time to load up. It's going to slowly start to load in the data because it's probably pulling a ton of data. And right now it's only giving me back to February 16th. So I can go in here and I can change this. I can make format symbol. Oh, I guess maybe I won't be able to get that data. All right, never mind. So let's keep it at daily. It takes more work than I thought. You can change it to, again, multiple time frames. So let's say you want to see for the day, like Brandon was talking about, some intraday stuff. By the way, he had a really nice call if you checked out Brandon's Twitter feed on the markets today. Let's say you want to look at it from today's open, right? So here's the 26th. Putting my cursor right there, right mouse clicking, and now I can see for today that they're all pretty much lockstep, right? You don't get too much differentiation on a one-day basis, but it allows me to see how they performed. I mean, early this morning, IWM was just kicking butt and then gave back a lot of it, but still ended up leading the day. You know, these are things that I like to look at over the course of a day. If you're in the morning, if you're looking at what was the area to be, it was Russell, right? Russell was way more gains than the other three indexes. Oh, yeah. No, Pepe, when you open up chart trading, no. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. It's a fixed window. Well, I mean, I think it depends on... Are you using the new version? Because I use the old one, and this is adjustable. Like, I can make this box smaller or larger, but there's really no other setting there. It's not like this. But to me, that doesn't impede. I think it might be different in the other versions, the new version. What else? Are you referencing to the spark chart? Don't know the spark chart, Larry. We don't know the spark chart. Yep. Well, Lifesong, he did, and what I like about what Brandon did yesterday is it's basically setting up a list of rules, right? Parameters that he follows. And it's not to say that he was, he's always going to be right, but if he followed his rules, which he told you pretty much what they were yesterday, the setup worked out perfectly. So yeah, it was great. Today is one of those days where if that's your strategy and it does exactly what you thought it was going to do, you're going to do well because you simply follow your rules. This is something that's come up as a question for me repeatedly over the years, which has been, what makes someone a good trader? And to me, it's really about following your rules and modifying those rules over time to get better at a specific tactic or strategy. One thing that you have to respect about Brandon is he's got specific sets of rules. And he says, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm looking for. If it doesn't happen, who cares? If it does, great. I'll be there with hands open waiting to take profits. That's awesome. You missed everything, Thomasina. And that's how you make $30 million with a 10-cent account. Sorry, Thomasina. You might have to rewatch that show to catch up. Okay, yeah, definitely send me Larry so I can check it out. Yeah, I don't use TradeStation 10, Pepe. I'm stubborn. I really like the old version. I feel like I grew up with the old TradeStation, so I'm much more used to it. I tried the new one, and I think it might be nice for newer traders, but I now find myself calling myself the old dog in this case. All right, so that's how you would do this. And I saw a comment that came through here that said you can do this with different commodities as well. Yes, you can. Here's the big problem when you're creating this price percentage chart in TradeStation. You'll notice that I used ETFs. So these are all the same basic exchange. If you try to do things that are on different exchanges, for example, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add in, insert symbol, and let's put on the continuous contract for the S&P 500. Or gold. How about GC, right? At GC. I go to plot that. Oh, wow. It's going to completely screw everything up. It's actually creating a very interesting chart. Now, maybe you guys know why it's doing this. Because these indexes, these ETFs are closed. So that's illustrating a gap. These angled lines are illustrating the gap. The gold future, which is this line right here, was actually trading. So this is new. It used to tell me you can't plot different symbols on different time frames. So for example, the ETFs were trading during regular market hours. If I try to throw a futures contract over, it would be, nope, different time frames can't do that. So that's something that's new that's happened with TradeStation. Apparently they now allow it, which I think just totally screws everything up. Go to daily. Yep, and it's there. It's cool. So there we go. Yeah, see, it might be easy for you, Pepe. For me, I like the old one. I think I can do more customization. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. I think that it's actually a pretty simple feature in TradeStation. I've been using it for years. I love it. And you guys notice I have a whole screen called sectors, right? And what I have a variety of different things. One of my favorites to do is this bad boy, which is most of the different market segments of the S&P. So for example, I've got financials, which is XLF, energy, XLE, healthcare, XLV, industrials, XLI, consumers, XLP, XLU, XLK, and SMH, which is more, SMH and XLK are pretty much the same thing, semiconductors versus technology. So I can, right now, click here on the January 1st of 2021, do a price percentage chart from this bar, and I can very clearly see who is the big leader right now. And energy has been the main dog right there. Cool? All right, good. Hope that helped you guys out. And again, for those that don't have TradeStation or don't want to pay for TradeStation, again, it's very easy if you just go to stockcharts.com. All right, I'll bring that up for you guys here so you can see that one too. I definitely like these guys. I don't pay for any subscription here, but if you go to stockcharts.com, you can do the same thing. Just go to the very top and go down to perf chart. All right, and now you just type in all the symbols you want to look at, but put a comma after each one. So let's go XLE, XLF, XLI, XLU, XLV, SMH, XLK. Let's put IYR. We'll throw some real estate in here. So now I have 6 or 7 things. I click on this perf chart, and now I can see from whatever bar I choose the performance of that specific market or segment. I think that that's a very great tool and a great resource for everybody out there. This one's free. TradeStation I think is a little nicer as well, but Petra says Scott McCormick does that for a monthly market review. Yeah, it really is. Obviously if we are looking for swinger position trades, you want to be in what's moving, whether that's up or down doesn't matter, right? We want to be in what's hot, what's got the best trend, because obviously the best trend is going to give you the best opportunity, and I don't want to be buying long in the weakest market segment. Yes, it could come and catch up to the leaders, but it's weak for a reason, and I don't want to spend all my time trying to figure out why it's weak. I'm going to buy the strong one, right? It's like going to the horse races. If you go to the horse race and you go to the long shot that's 100 to 1 chance, well, there's a reason. It's a lame horse, or whatever the factors may be. There's a reason why it is not expected to win. Now, granted, you could put your money on the winning horse with the best odds. You're not going to make a lot of money on it, but you're most likely going to win. And I think that says it all right there, is the goal here is to win. It's not necessarily to make tons of money on each trade, but if I can consistently win or have winning trades, then that's where we want to be headed. So go with the trend until the bend of the end. Well, TradeStation is free if you do a certain amount of trades. It's not technically free, all right? There's a cost there. All right, is there a way to enter a trade with 2 targets and when hit T1 will automatically T1 move automatically stop to break even? Not that I know of without using... Okay, so basically what you're saying is can I put in a bracket order, which has my entry, my stop loss, my price target, and you want 2 targets, right? So you got your entry, stop, and 2 targets. And you're saying if it hits your target 1, automatically move your stop loss up to break even? Not unless you're using smart, easy language is what they have. So you could program that in, but that's way above my pay grade with regards to platforms. So... All right, what else did I have? I had more questions. There were multiple questions, and one of them came through about BlockFi. And I forgot the gentleman's question. Let me see if I actually have it here. Bummer. I don't have it. I hope that he's watching today. But there was a question about BlockFi, and I told you I have 2 Bitcoin sitting at BlockFi right now, collecting 6% interest, and so far so good. A gentleman emailed me and he says, hey, listen, I've been trying to get in touch with them. They haven't really responded. Is it easy to get your money out? And I thought, well, shoot, I haven't tried to pull my money out of BlockFi yet. So what I did over the past couple days is I did make a transaction to remove money from BlockFi just to see how easy it would be to get my money out. That said, the initial transaction for BlockFi was very difficult. It took 24 hours for the money to show up to be removed from BlockFi. I did get my money out. However, it took 24 hours. And I think the only reason it took 24 hours is that first transaction, as soon as you do it, they send you an email and they say you have to verify your identity, meaning you now have to hold up your driver's license front and back, or send them copies of your driver's license, and then you have to do like a 3D visual profile of your face, and then they will send you an email letting you know that they have confirmed or not confirmed your identity. So I did that, and 24 hours later, I received the confirmation. It did, in fact, give me my Bitcoin out of the account. So yes, you can pull your money out. The trick with BlockFi, for those of you who have a BlockFi account, and if you don't have one and you'd like to open one, just let me know. I can put my referral number in the chat here, and you'll get free stuff. I get free stuff. If you're allowed one free withdrawal per month. Right, so I pulled out a small amount just to test because I want to keep my money there. I will not be doing another transaction because they charge a lot of money to pull money out. But you get one free transaction per month. So those of you who are BlockFi members, keep an eye on that one. Make sure you don't do a lot. Alan says, I heard BlockFi is lowering interest rates. Yeah, this is very interesting. Okay, so a friend of mine sent me an email yesterday or a couple days ago saying, hey, BlockFi is now going to reduce the interest that they're paying on their cryptocurrencies. Now, I didn't receive this email, and I have a BlockFi account. I think that what happens, let me go I'm going to bring it up for you guys so you can see. I'm just curious, how many of you have a BlockFi account? Does anybody here have one? Well, I mean, Rajesh, it says 6%. You say 6% interest is kind of a scam. How is it a scam, right? You got to remember, they're taking your Bitcoin, and they're using it as collateral for loans. They're lending out against it. And I'm allowing them to, and they're paying me 6% for that. They might be issuing loans for 9%, and they're just taking that 3% difference. They're keeping it. So I don't know if it's a scam per se. It seems a bit high to be paying someone 6% interest for it, but regardless, I don't know if it's necessarily a scam. All right, let me show you here what BlockFi is doing with regards to payments for crypto. So I'll scroll down here. You'll see the interest rates. Code just says not yet. Okay. Here is the current one. It doesn't say anything about them changing. It's very interesting. So tier 1 says up to 2.5 Bitcoin, they will pay you 6%. The email that my buddy received, and I almost think it's phishing. I really think it's a phishing attempt because I haven't received anything. It's telling him that now they're changing the policy. Up to 1 Bitcoin will pay 6%, and then anything over that's going to pay 3%. So it's kind of weird. I'm not sure why they would drop. I have not seen anything. Right now, it's still 6%. So, correct, Rajesh. I'm not keeping USD. They haven't made it any statements here that they are keeping me in USD. They're lending it. I don't care where they lend it to, as long as they continue to pay me for it. So they're using my coins. They can convert it all they want, as long as when I pull my money out and I want my Bitcoin, it'll be there. So I don't know if I would call it a scam. It's the same thing your bank is doing, right? If you have money in your bank, you don't have money there. You have a percentage of your bank cash sitting in the bank. So I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem yet. I'm going to keep mine at 2 Bitcoin. That's pretty much my limit for these guys. But I've been shopping around to a lot of different companies to see who's paying the most in interest. And the question about, is it easy to get money out? It's not easy. The first withdrawal took some time, but I think now that I have it set up, it should take probably a few hours to pull whatever assets I want out of BlockFi, should I choose to. All right. Good. Any questions on that? Pepe said, my only issue is this. Yeah. And Pepe, this is a big issue. And I think that you've got to be aware of that and embrace it. This is not FDIC insured. Of course, this won't be FDIC because it's technically a security, so it would be SIPC insured. Regardless, it doesn't have any consumer protection right now. So I agree with you. It is, that's the biggest nerve-wracking piece I have about it. But you know what? Keeping your Bitcoin at Coinbase is not insured either. Right? Keeping your Bitcoin at Kraken or any cryptocurrencies on any exchange is not backed. Right? Well, FDIC insurance is going to be up to $250,000 in cash, so that's okay. Yeah, Big F says FDIC and crypto are like oil and water. Yeah, they're definitely not going together anytime soon. However, that statement from the Bank of New York Mellon that they're now going to be doing business in Bitcoin and allowing Bitcoin transactions in the bank, to me, that's a very interesting move because FDIC and SIPC insurance, not necessarily SIPC, but FDIC insurance, that's a bank thing. So if all of a sudden a bank is now saying you can keep your Bitcoin here, what does the Fed think about that, right? To me, it's going to start raising some eyebrows, and at some point, we'll either have the Fed say, no, you can't do Bitcoin transactions at the bank, or yes, we will. That is going to have to come under the purvey of the FDIC, the Fed and the SEC, because now they'll have to say it's an instrument, it's a cash instrument, and they'll protect it. That's going to be, in my opinion, years down the road. What about PayPal? Well, I don't think PayPal is a scam. I definitely don't think PayPal is a scam, but you can buy Bitcoin from them. I think the fees are way too much. I would never buy crypto on PayPal. The cost is just, why would you pay that much of a premium? It's kind of like saying, there you go, a good example. It's kind of like the mini bar in your hotel room. You can open that door and take out a can of Coca-Cola and pay $6. But I can go to the mini mart that's right across the street and I can buy a 12-pack for $4. That's pretty much what PayPal's doing, in my opinion. They're charging a pretty big markup, so I would be, I'm not be interested in buying anything through PayPal. All right, cool, Gretchen. I'll see if I can put it in here. So how do you protect yourself? Petra, with cryptos, you don't have that protection. So let me ask you, the main concern you have with cryptocurrencies is, what are the risks to you? Number one, you lose your private key. Okay, by keeping it on an exchange like Coinbase or Kraken or even BlockFi, they have your private key. So that's no longer your concern. Then that brings up the second concern is, what about if Coinbase or Kraken or BlockFi or Binance or any of these other companies get hacked and somebody steals the cryptocurrencies from there? Then you're screwed. There's really nothing you can do. In my opinion, what would happen pretty quickly is, oh, Rajesh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the contribution. I love it. If you look at what like Coinbase is doing, Coinbase is trying to go public here. If there's a hack, they'll do whatever they can to make sure the world doesn't know about that. They'll cover it up. Your cryptos will be there, meaning they will buy it on the open market because they can't afford to have a scandal like that. If in fact there is a hack on Coinbase, and I'm just putting myself in the position of the CEO and the backers, the investors right now, we will do everything in our power to make good for it. So let's say, for example, I'm a Coinbase client and they get hacked and I lose my one Bitcoin that's sitting there. They will go out and they will spend money from their balance sheets to replace those assets because they can't have that scandal. If they don't replace those assets, every client from Coinbase will leave. So they have to make us feel secure knowing that, yes, there is the vulnerability of potential hacks, but they'll cover it, right? I know it's hard to accept, but you got to look at it. They're a publicly traded company here soon. They can't afford to have a hacking scandal that takes them down. So to me, that's one of the big things. $2.50 fee. I guess you did a very small transaction. No Kraken for me in New York City. Really? You can't trade Kraken in New York City? It's out of Jersey. Huh. For me, they charge $150 for a $10,000 transaction. That's a lot. $150 transaction is pretty high. Just to buy, and they also charge me a similar fee. Yep. And unfortunately, this is one of the things that we have to pay attention to. And you've heard me talk about it a little bit, but I try not to make the show all about crypto. I want to talk trading and investing. If you are buying, right? A friend asked me yesterday, well, I want to buy some Polkadot. Well, how do I get that? First off, you got to convert your fiat currency, dollar, Canadian dollar, euro, pound, whatever, into a digital asset or get it to an exchange so you can buy. Now, if you go through Coinbase, you can link it to your checking account. But even at Coinbase, they have Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. So if you don't know, you're probably going to buy on Coinbase. And the fees, as we talked about, are way higher. If you know, you'll go to Coinbase Pro and buy your Bitcoin there because it's cheaper. If you can, you would open a Kraken account because Kraken's commissions on Bitcoin is cheaper than Coinbase. Or Binance because Binance is probably the cheapest of all of the exchanges. So if you know you're going to buy a lot, yeah, go someplace where the cost to you is much cheaper, right? It's like sales tax. Would I rather pay sales tax or I don't want to pay sales tax? Well, I'll buy my item in a state that doesn't offer sales tax and I'll save myself a bunch of money. So before you really start buying a bunch, you can always ask me here. I'm actually working on a cryptocurrency course for Online Trading Academy now. So I will be building all kinds of spreadsheets and tables that outline exactly which exchanges offer what. And where you might want to go to make those transactions. But yeah, Raving, I agree with you. And it was an experiment that I had to learn right away. These apps, so Bread Wallet, PayPal. Here, I'll give you an example. I'm going to try to buy some Bitcoin right now on PayPal, right? And I'll see if I can show it to you guys as I do it. That'd be kind of fun. I'll go to money. I'll go to PayPal. Where's PayPal? Okay, so just to give you guys an idea of how crazy the fees are at PayPal, it's nice because you can click right at the bottom, and I'm going to click Buy Crypto, right? So it's hard to see because of the lights, but there's the crypto screen, right? I'll see if I can do it this way. Let's go. I hope I don't buy anything inadvertently. Hit Buy. Oop, Face ID. Okay, and then it's going to ask you. I should probably not show this to you in case it's like going to show my account numbers. So there at the bottom, you see it says 500. I'm going to do $1,000 just to keep the numbers even. All right. So there's $1,000. All right. I'll hit next. Okay. And it's asking me where I want to link it up to. So I'm going to link it up to my checking account. Okay. Can you guys see that? So to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, it's actually charging me $18 extra. That's 1.8% just because. And remember, I'm not allowed to negotiate price with PayPal. So what price do you think you're paying? Are you going to pay the bid price or are you going to pay the ask price? You're paying the ask price plus probably some slippage. This is where they're making their money. A 1.8% fee on top of paying the spread and maybe a little extra because you don't have any clue. Oops, don't want to confirm that transaction. Just throw away $18 for nothing. Anyway, these are the considerations you all have to make when you're buying and selling crypto is the fees that go along with it. Petra says, I'm more interested in what to do when we get a globally controlled market. Well, you talking about globally controlled as it is, because I would argue that it is a globally controlled market, or are you talking about a crypto globally controlled market? Very different there. Cool, Batista. So Batista's smart. He says, no exodus also. That's weird. In New York, you guys got some strange rules for crypto, but he's using a VPN. Talked about VPN the other day. VPNs are critical in getting around some of these issues. Remember, a VPN, you can say, let's say Batista here's in New York. With a VPN, you can say, well, I'm in California, or I'm in Europe, or I'm somewhere else around the world, and get around a lot of the restrictions because a lot of ISPs, internet service providers, will look at your IP address and say, oh, he's calling from New York. Nope, can't do that here. Can't open an account there. So VPNs are great for those. Reving says, but PayPal should be safer, I would think at least. I can't make that statement. I think, Reving, I think what's interesting is if you look at safety, I think they're all vulnerable, right? They're all vulnerable. However, if it's a publicly traded company, like I just mentioned, PayPal, again, if PayPal gets hacked, the confidence in PayPal will go through the floor and everyone will leave. So if PayPal were to get hacked, and let's say you had 5 Bitcoin sitting there and they got stolen, and you're like, oh my God, I lost 5 Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure that PayPal would say, we got it. Don't worry. We've got you covered. It was a fault on our end. We didn't get hacked. It was an issue on our end. We'll make it good. Just stay here and be a client. That's what they will probably do, because could you imagine how many people would leave PayPal if all of a sudden they knew they were getting hacked? They can't let that happen. So they'll make good unless it's such a large hack amount. All right, Tom Barr says, I have trouble worrying about a 1.8% fee on something that should appreciate 100% by the end of the year. Yes. Yes, I agree with you. For me, I do worry about 1.8%. And, I call me overly frugal. My friends make fun of me for it. But, when you have the opportunity, and let me say this, Tom, it's a good point. But the reason I bring this point up is I can go to somebody like Kraken and I can buy for 0.25%. So that's my point. If I have the choice of a 1.8% fee plus paying the market spread and an unknown slippage, right? Because I can't see the buy prices. If I have that choice versus a 0.25% fee and I can pick exactly where I want to buy, that's where I'm going, right? That's my only point. Yeah, it's a cost of doing business, and you're right. I think you'll be up much higher on Bitcoin in the near future. But hey, I think for all of us, we should be looking at everything we do in life and say, you know what? If I can save $5 here, I'm going to try to save $5 because that $5, if I can take that, put it to work, and now turn that into $6 or $7 or $8, I'm going to grow my net worth. Whether that's trading or just simply investing or even going grocery shopping. A good friend of mine was giving me the hardest time. I play this game, and you guys are all going to think, I'm weird, but I play this game with the grocery stores. I've got it right here. Every week, I get the ads that come through from the grocery store, and I'll look through there and go, you know what? I'm running low on mayonnaise, and they just offered mayonnaise for 38% less than market. Great. I go to the store, and I try to see at the end of when I ring up at the register, what percentage did I save on my bill? A couple weeks ago, I did. It was like a 58% savings. So we'll just put it in perspective. If my grocery bill was $100, I paid $42. Some of you are going, oh, I don't care about coupons. I don't care about that. It's fine. I'll pay the full $100. Well, that's good for you. But I'd rather keep that extra $58 and get double the food, or take that $58 and put it to use to make my life better in some way. So maybe I'm just a little bit frugal, yes? Algebra says, but you lose 1.8% again when you withdraw or when you sell it. Yeah, right? That's where they're getting you, transaction fees. And that's obviously to cover some of the network fees as well. But hey, if you have choices, shop around and find yourself the best price. You know, if you knew that the car dealer down the street, like literally across the street from your house, was going to sell you the car that you want for $50,000, but if you just drove 1 mile down the road or even walked a mile down the road, you could buy that same car for $47,000. Would you do it? That's $3,000 difference. Hell yeah, I'm walking. It's $3,000. Anyway, sorry, I could go on a long rant of that one. One shitty IT guy, a PayPal guy, could really jack things up. You know what's happened? And Indigo, thank you so much for the contribution. You guys are making my day here. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I love it. Right, as I'm at, crypto is currently just a small piece of PayPal. Yes, right, it is a very small piece. But I think for any company that's in that crypto space, that's the danger, is that they do get hacked. They will do everything in their power to make it right. You know, unless they're a small exchange and they don't have any backing, they'll just dissolve and move into something else. But when you're publicly traded, it's a different ballgame. Totally different ballgame. You need a nutritionist? Why? Because of my skin color? It's the lighting in here, Petra. I probably do need a new nutritionist. Oh, you talking about my mayonnaise? It was just an example. I do like my mayo, especially with artichokes. Merlin the coupon cutter, good man. Hey, you know what? My parents taught me well. It's funny. I have friends whose parents gave them everything they wanted. Like, oh, I want this. Okay, here, take that. My parents are like, yeah, you can have anything you want, but you got to buy it. I'm like, well, how do I buy it? You got to have money to buy it. Well, how do I have money? You got to work. Okay. So I had a paper route at 9 years old with a little mini bike firing around the neighborhood. You know, I have a perception of money that might be different from other people. To me, it's important to watch what your spending is. And you know what? If I know, and I'll use the mayonnaise as an example. I know some of you probably hate mayonnaise. If I know I need a jar soon, I'm not going to go to the store and just buy it right now. I'm going to wait for it because I know in a week or next week or the week after, it's going to be on a sale and I'll buy it for 30% less and get it when I need it. So anyway, that's just me. Who knew that today's show was going to be about mayonnaise? Okay, let's go to Alan's because I noticed that time's running out. And I told you guys yesterday to grab Band-Aids. Not Band-Aids, rubber bands. Similar. So if you have a rubber band, what I want you guys to do is, if you guys did listen, I want you to take a rubber band and I want you to put it around your wrist, like a little bracelet. And unfortunately, I told you guys to do it, but I didn't grab a rubber band. How am I supposed to do this example but not a rubber band? Any rubber bands around here? Son of a biscuit. Well, that's going to make it difficult for me. Okay. Anyway, put the rubber band around your wrist, all right? And just leave it there for a second. It'll be part of the discussion. So Alan sent in this question. He's like, hey, listen, do you think that we're headed for some trouble in the market? I'm like, okay. And he talked about this. He says, and thank you, Alan, for that one. I appreciate it. He says, look, here's the NASDAQ 100. This is a 1-month chart, so it's a monthly chart. And you notice that it's been hugging that 20-period moving average. I think it's the 20. Yeah, you got a 20-period moving average and the 50, right? So the 20 is the I guess, bluish line. The yellow is the 50. So you notice that going back into 2013, it's never dropped below that 50-period moving average. So a great line in the sand. The 20-period, though, it's been hugging it. It's bounced off it a couple times. And his argument is, you know, if you're a trend fan, yeah, it's just been incredibly bullish. However, he's saying right now, I feel like it's the farthest above those lines that it's been since 2012. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm like, well, let's look at the weekly. So you look at the weekly, and it's a little bit better with regards to bouncing off the 20-period moving average. I mean, you guys can see there's really been one major break of the 20. Other than that, it seems to be a good bounce point and things moving up. So the question I have for everybody is, I think you all agree that there's an elasticity to price. There's a relationship between the way that price moves and markets. So one of the things that people love to do with moving averages, and I'll bring up the S&P 500 here, just so we can look at Alan's charts. some lines way back here. I'll turn the volume off. We don't need that to disrupt our analysis. And I will add in some moving averages. So let me go into, where the heck are they? Enable, and I got moving averages here. And I will make those the appropriate numbers to match what Alan sent in. So I'll make those a 20 and a 50. Perfect. So here's the daily. Daily doesn't look too bad, right? We've been just kind of rallying up and staying with those moving averages. When you look at the weekly, you know, you do have an acceleration, but it's still, you know, that 20 period moving average is still holding true. When we go to the monthly though, that's where things start to look a little bit out of whack. And yes, we did have some periods where it's been above most of the time, but you've never seen as far of a stretch as you have right now. I mean, this is one of the biggest stretches that we will see. Let me see if it won't pull up any more data because this is monthly. But here's the example I wanted you guys to do if you decided to follow along and put that rubber band around your wrist. If you look at what was going on with the S&P or with the S&P 500, which is the chart you have here, and you look at it in this area, right? I'll draw a yellow box. You look at it right there. That's literally taking that rubber band and moving it like a millimeter off your wrist and letting go. No big deal, right? It's if you do that, you're just like pulling a rubber band, no big deal, right? It's just right there. It's not going to hurt you. But if we move forward to where it starts to accelerate, like maybe up here, all right, let's look at this period. Notice how much that is above that red line, right? I'll put the box to kind of measure the distance, but there's the distance. What that would be is moving it a little bit further out, right? So instead of, you've got the trending up, and let's say you pull it like 2 inches. Gretchen, holy shnikes, thank you so much. You guys are making my day out there. Let's say you take that rubber band, and now you pull it about an inch or two, let's say 2 inches away from your wrist. Now let go. Okay, maybe a little sting, right? It might hurt a little bit. Now, look at where we are right now. And I'll draw another box just to make that graphic even clearer. Right? Moving averages are moving up, but I think you guys can all see that this yellow box is much bigger now. Essentially, from my perspective, that's like taking this and moving it out like a foot away from your wrist and then try to let go. It's going to hurt at some point, as Big Ev says. If you pull that rubber band that far away, you know it's going to snap back. Even though the trend is up, it's moving to the upside, you know, it's a probability thing. And I don't know what the catalyst is going to be. I don't know if it's going to come ripping back down or break back to it, but odds are you're not going to get a moving average that's going to maintain such a sharp trajectory upwards. You will get a rip back down. We may come right down to that 20-period moving average and bounce off of it again, but it's getting too extended, right? And that is just simply the nature of prices. So to Alan's point, yes, I do believe that we are seeing an overextended market. I've been saying that for a while. Everybody here knows that. It's due for a pullback. It'd just be natural and healthy for this market to pull back, certainly to that 20-period moving average. Now, considering the fact that the S&P right now is at 3960 and the 20-period moving average is at 32, you're looking at a 700-point drop. That's almost 20%. Actually, it is 20%. So, yeah, I certainly think that there's room for a pullback here in the markets. But, guys, you see what the S&P did today? Well, it didn't look damn weak today. You have an all-time intraday closing high, or an all-time closing high on the S&P 500. So no weakness there. That said, you do have other markets like, let's go to, I'll just do ETFs, IWM, that are all of a sudden flip the script, right? You guys see now with the Russell 2000, not only do we break below the 20, but we broke below the 50, and now we're retesting. This is a very interesting point because, thanks, Alan. I appreciate you guys are totally making my day. Thank you so much, Alan. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys. You notice the bounce up here. Yeah, I agree with you, Rajesh. I think the S&P will make an all-time high. I don't see anything to stop it right now. But right now is interesting for the Russell 2000 because you have a retest of that 50. I'll be very interested to see what happens this week with the Russell if that 50 in fact holds. It's the classic breaks demand and then all of a sudden retests it now that it's supply. So that one's interesting. For the QQQs, you know, you have a similar picture. All of a sudden that 20-period moving average has been sloping down. It's not looking so good, and the 50-period average is starting to roll over. So this may be that moment where we start to see things weaken. And again, they still look relatively strong, but it's just that maybe that canary in the coal mine where we're starting to see some of these moving averages sing a different tune. Last one here was the Dow. right? Dow Jones Industrial Average. Notice there's no crossover. They haven't crossed. And the 20-period moving average is actually curling to the upside and looking much more powerful to the north side. The moving average is based on price, right? Yes, moving average is based on price. It's the average of price. As time goes on, the moving average will fit to price again. Correct. So algebra, it's simple. It's two things. What you have is the moving average is an average of price, and then you have price itself, right? That's what moving average is calculating. And it's the acceleration of price. So what happens is one of two things will happen. If my bottom arm here, how do I do this? See, this is where I want to get the whiteboard. So if I've got this arm is the moving average and this arm is price. This is what you're seeing right now. You're seeing a huge separation. At some point, one of them is going to give. Most likely it's the one that accelerated too quickly, which in this case would be price. Certainly the moving average could straighten and then we get a market like this. Probably not going to see that accelerated of an angle. So it's just looking at historical price action. And you're right, you could see the moving average start to tighten up to where price is at. But more likely than not, when you have an accelerated or stretched out moving average, or a price above a moving average or below, it will revert back. Batista, man, you guys are loving me today. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Batista. I appreciate that as well. I'm going to have to go buy a new bottle of whiskey on that one tonight. Thank you, guys. Does that make sense, algebra? The monthly chart might not have enough time for the calculation, and that's correct. But it's just elasticity of price. You know, the moving average is meant to be an average. So in theory, we should have half the prices above it and half the prices below it if it is in fact an average, right? Right now we're seeing almost everything is above those moving averages. My opinion about NEO? Why not? Let's go into NEO. You know, I think that there's several factors here that are challenging for NEO. Number one, it got really hyped up and has obviously been coming back down. If we go with the same analysis on your chart here, you have the moving average is aggressively coming down. You have a double bottom formation. So a couple of different things here. If you're looking at NEO as a potential buy, you got to ask yourself, at what point do you want to buy it? That line I just drew, you could argue that's the making of double bottom. But it's difficult trying to catch that falling knife. You know, NEO obviously is one of the prime contenders out there to be a competitor for Tesla, but there's a lot of other ones as well. You're going to start to see, in the next year, there's going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of companies that are jumping into the U.S. market. We're already seeing it happen right now. That will be followed up by consolidation. It's the same thing that happened in the late 90s with internet. You had hundreds of internet companies that got gobbled up, and all of a sudden you had, 5 or 6 major internet companies. So technically, I actually like this as a double bottom. So what would you do here? Oh, Koja, thank you so much. Man, what did I do today? I got to do this more often. You guys are awesome. What I would do for the NEO side of this is I would look at it right here and say, I'll put a line above the high of today. And if we do get above the high of today, or of Friday's trading, so we might be watching this on the weekend, then great, go long at, above 36.80. And your stop loss should probably be down below 34 bucks, below the candle for today. It's still very risky. If your risk on this trade is going to be, what is that, $2.80? Yeah, you better be shooting to make $9 on it. And of course, if it does hit that 45 mark, that should be a 3-to-1 and actually fit the objective. But yeah, you do have a lot of competition, as Rajesh says. Tesla, Lucid, Tesla obviously the number one. There's no doubt about it. But Lucid, CCIV, you have Ford and Amazon are in bed with Rivian. You've got all kinds of stuff. Was it Nikola? I haven't even looked at NKLA lately. NKLA. Oh, wow, look at that. Guys, you remember when I was saying this thing's going to go all the way back down? Geez, I didn't think it would be hitting the 14 bucks. But this might also be another one that you look at. I think that there's a ton of good ones. I like the double bottom on NEO. To make it a long story short, I do think the double bottom is good. You just got to be careful and make sure you use stop losses, because I don't look at enough fundamentals on NEO to know if they are a solid, good company. That's just not my thing. I prefer technicals, but I like NEO. Lifesong says, Coop, what time is it? Oh, you guys are killing me. I'm already going to be late. All right, I'll look at Coop. Coupa Software. Ooh, that's ugly. Boy, I tell you, I'm not liking it. And the main reason is this, Lifesong. you could make the argument that you're coming back into these lows that established back in September and is basing. I don't like the way that for the past 6 months, since December, it's pretty much done nothing but get weaker. So I don't know what the deal is with Coupa or what exactly they're doing, but it's not looking good, and it's looking weaker and weaker. It's similar to what I would say with NEO. Like, if you thought this was a good buy point, I can't say no. You're at an area of demand. Just make sure you put a stop loss on this because, it's $240. It could easily be at 180 in a couple of days the way it's been moving. So not that... I'm not liking this very much. You've got both moving averages aggressively pointing down. It's in an aggressive downtrend. I'll add on volume here because maybe that will help paint a better picture of the fear and greed going on. There's average volume. Oh, actually, volume's not even that bad. So, I think that actually helps your argument for a buy point here. It's not climactic, but yeah, I would certainly, if you are going to take a chance at it, put a stop loss below current levels because it could easily break those and go much lower. Oh, Pepe, where's his last comment? Says, read my last comment, please. I'm trying, buddy. There's a lot of stuff going on here today. Where was it? An OT instructor told me last month that he heard the Fed saying that they have $800 trillion to pump the markets before we get into real trouble. Is that true? Sure. Absolutely true. Look, the Fed has unlimited pockets, so they can pump whatever they want. Problem is, you pump that much money in, $800 trillion. I think that might be a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, the Fed can keep pumping. But at a certain point, the impacts of all of those pumps is going to have an issue on the economy, meaning, for me, inflation. And once that happens, they're going to have to raise rates to combat inflation, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves right where we should have been, which is letting the market heal itself. All right, VIH. I see a lot of comments on VIH. Right, Rajesh, and GM is right now one of the major ones. Time waste. Nicola, it's a scam. I think it's not as much of a scam as it was made out to be. I think that they are legitimately putting together vehicles, but yeah, there's some slimy CEO stuff going on. No, damn it. I think we go into choppy markets instead of major correction and let real price valuations catch up. Absolutely, Alan. Could we go through just an area where we all of a sudden consolidate for quite some time? Yeah, I make the argument that you have factors that are really going to push this market much, much higher, which are COVID, right? People are getting their vaccines, jobs are opening up, restaurants are open. I'm going to go out tonight and have dinner at a restaurant and sit inside, That is great for the economy. That said, we could say that things are overinflated. It's been pushed up with the artificial hand of government and Fed. Once that stops, things start to change. So could it just chop back and forth? Absolutely. I'm not going to make any predictions on where it's going to go. I do think at some point we'll see a big correction, but I just don't know when that's going to be. All right. AI, well, certainly, Rajesh, if they pump in $800 trillion, but they're not going to do it all at once. I mean, think about it. They're already doing probably $150 billion worth of purchases per month of bonds and treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. So it's pretty crazy. What else? Big. Okay. What was a good entry point for? That's a tough one. So VIH. Actually, I had a great day today, then gave it all up. It's a similar picture what you saw with NEO on VIH. You kind of have a little bit of a double bottom. Again, the challenge that I have with VIH, and I've been very clear about this one, is I'm not really looking at it from, the technicals at this moment. I'm waiting for the IPO announcement. When they finally do the announcement, and this will now be listed on an exchange under a different ticker symbol and free float as the new company, then I think you get the pump. I think you get the pumping up to move to the upside. Lifesong, you're in South Africa. I just got 300 South African Rand. That is awesome. I'm all over the place. Thank you, Lifesong. I appreciate that. I think it's my first Rand I've ever owned until I make it down to South Africa. That'll be great. What else? Inflation is not good in order to pay the debt. Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I'm going to let John handle that one. I'm actually trying to get John on the program again. He's dying to come back on, so maybe I'll see if I can get him to talk. We'll do an inflation show out there, so... Walter Rosales, good to see you, my friend. ML says AI. I think if you guys heard the comments from Elon Musk, he was saying that the next World War III, will be fought over AI. I tend to agree with him. I think that we talk about other things, but I think AI will be one of the major challenges for all of us, and this could be a big benefit for Tesla as well, because Tesla has a ton of AI information because of their cars. I'm hoping that they win the race and we have autonomous driving vehicles soon. It'd be so great. Imagine the front seats in your car turn around so you don't have to face forward, and you now have like a little cabin party space with all your friends wherever. You can go to Vegas. That 4-hour drive for me to Vegas would just be the beginning of the journey of fun party trip up there. Anyway, let's see. That I don't know. ML, do me a favor, email me that one because I don't know this on the Canadian market. Are you talking this? It's just, oh, okay. Oh God, that's ugly. I've never looked at this one before, so bear with me as I break it down. But AI, the ticker symbol NYSE, C3AI. If you're a long-term person that likes whatever they're doing, you got a pretty good buy point. You know, you're basically you're down almost 60% off these highs. That is a pretty ugly chart. Looks like a relatively new one. Was this a SPAC? It might be a SPAC. That or IPO, I don't know. I'll have to look at this one differently, but right now I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It looks like it's just trending down and down and down and down. I don't know how low it's going to go, but trend is your friend till the bend at the end. So Patrick says, when does this show air? It airs at 2 p.m. Pacific live every day, and then I will momentarily, as soon as I wrap up the show, which is now officially 1 hour, and I still haven't finished my glass of whiskey, I will go and post this one so you can look at the iTunes, and it should be up on the YouTube channel right away. That's right. I'm pretty much done, Patrick. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, it's your birthday today. So happy birthday, my friend. Good to have you with us. I know you're I know you're one of the supporters who's always commenting on YouTube. So happy birthday out there, my friend. All right. Yeah, Eric, I was looking at AI. That's a gigantic fall, but you know, one of the arguments that we'll always say, and this isn't just me, this is also with Online Trading Academy's content, is IPOs you should generally shy away from because you don't have a lot of price history to go off of, right? One of the things I love when I pull up, you know, pretty much any established company, let's say Apple, I can look at that chart and I have a lot of data to go back and analyze and look for supply zones, demand zones, or things that may give me some validation for it. Whereas here, I don't have much, right? There you go. All right, cool. I don't have an economic calendar for you set up right now. I thought I did, but apparently I don't have a calendar set up. But I will. Yeah, I don't have no economic calendar. What is happening next week? God, the big stuff is really Friday of next week. I do have a slew of good guests. I think they're going to be good guests. Certainly, some of you may differ in opinions, but I've been trying to bring on a couple different people. I do have a pretty good lineup for next week. Now, Larry, let me 1 sec. I was going to end the show, but now Larry sent me a question I have to get to. So let me just tell you about the guest who's going to be on the program on Monday. We're going to have Jeff Manson on. Tuesday will be, so Jeff Manson is all trading futures, loves Fibonacci. Tuesday we're gonna have Walker Anglin talking Forex. Thursday or Wednesday I'm really excited about this one, and this is thanks to Tom, one of our viewers here. He recommended Ryan Hall, who sets up crypto mining systems. So we're actually doing a show on kind of why is it necessary for crypto miners? What is the role? And then we'll talk about, you know, setting those up. What does it look like? What does one need to consider with regards to equipment and fees, electricity, and all that? And then bottom line is, you know, should you be a miner or not? Is there still skin in the game? Because you hear all these people said they got rich being a miner. Then we'll talk long-term investing on Thursday with Justin Krebs, and that lines up our week. It's going to be a pretty good one. All right, Larry sent me something. Let me check out what he sent. Huh. Larry, I'm going to have to look at that because I do not know what that is. I don't use that watch list. So let me do my best to figure out what that is, Larry. But unfortunately, right now, I don't have an answer for you. So sorry, my friend. All right. Yes, Kevin. Beach time. Is it beach time? I think it will be a hike time. I got to go walk the dog. He's been limping around. Is a stock or an ETF? It looks like a stock to me, but I'll have to get more information. Do I own any non-fungible tokens? No, I'm not really into that NFT space. I don't know. It seems weird to me. Call me old-fashioned, but hey, to buy a piece of digital artwork that's stuck on a token, I want to hang it on my wall. I want to look at it. I don't know. I'd rather have a physical copy as opposed to a digital asset. But you know what? There's plenty of money to be made in that. That's actually one of the next avenues I'll be diving deep into. I might actually do some this weekend is NFTs. We'll be doing some shows on NFT in the near future to let everybody know what they are. All right, man. long show today. I was going to wrap this one up early. If you guys have questions, comments, things you want me to cover for next week, you got questions for Jeff Manson on the Monday show, send those on in at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. That's the easiest way. For all of you who sent in contributions today, I really do appreciate that. That really makes my day. Life Song, thank you so much. Koja Trader, thank you, as well as Batista. We had Alan as well, and Gretchen kicked the whole thing off with Indigo Clover. And Rajesh, man, you guys were awesome today. Thank you so much for all the contributions, the donations. It definitely makes me feel great knowing that you guys not only enjoy the content, but are supporting along the way. So thank you so much. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Make it the most of it. Should be a great one for just about everybody. It looks like nice warm weather, except for the south, so be careful. We got some winds down there. But that'll do it for me. Cheers, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you Monday.